Hey, warriors, stop for a second and look deep into the mirror of your life. What do you see? An exhausted, good person? A kind soul being used to the bone? Or a spirit screaming because you're being undervalued despite working harder than anyone else? I know what you've been taught. Since the day you could walk, society has injected you with a sweet sedative. Just be kind, be sincere, explain yourself so others understand, and the world will treat you well. That is the greatest lie in history. This world doesn't run on your kindness. It runs on power, and power doesn't belong to the one who talks the loudest. It belongs to the one who can hold their silence the longest. It doesn't belong to the one who reacts most intensely. It belongs to the one who can stand firm like an emotionless rock in the middle of a storm. Today, we are ripping off the velvet curtain of hypocrisy. I'm going to teach you how to reclaim your personal power using the quietest, most ruthless, and most effective weapons Machiavelli ever used to shape history. Type it in the comments right now to seal your will. I am the master of silence. Chapter 1. The Addiction to Explaining, the Suicide of Power. Why do you feel the urge to explain yourself every time someone misunderstands you? Why do you stay up all night drafting a long message just to prove your intentions were good? Listen, every time you explain, you are kneeling. In dark psychology, explaining is the act of begging for approval. You are telling the other person, your opinion of me is more important than the reality I live. I need you to give me permission to be the good guy. Do you see how pathetic that is? Machiavelli understood that power lies in asymmetry. The one who holds the information is the one who rules. When you explain, you are voluntarily handing over ammunition to your enemy. You show them where your weaknesses are, what you fear, and how your logic works. A manipulator doesn't listen to your explanation to understand. They listen to find a crack and bend it against you. The Machiavellian tactic: stay silent. When accused, when misunderstood, just look them straight in the eyes. Your silence is a brutal message. I owe you nothing. Your opinion is not worth the calories it takes for me to explain. Feel the pressure the other person endures when they hurl an accusation and receive absolute silence in return. They will start to worry. They will start to fill the void with their own fear. That is exactly when power shifts hands. Chapter 2. Strategic Absence, the Art of Creating Scarcity. Why are diamonds more expensive than pebbles? Because they are rare. Why are you cheap in the eyes of others? Because you are always available. Society teaches you to be enthusiastic, to be sociable, to be at every party, and to answer messages within 3 seconds. They want you to be a mass-produced, easily replaceable commodity. But the Machiavellian warrior knows over-presence devalues, strategic absence creates authority. If you always show up whenever others need you, they won't see it as help. They see it as your obligation. They stop appreciating your presence because it's too cheap. How to execute? Disappear. Don't answer every call. Don't attend every meeting. Let the world wonder where you are and what you're doing. When you withdraw mysteriously, people start weaving myths about you. They start to respect your time. Your absence is like the chill of winter. People only truly crave the sun when it's gone. Let them taste the emptiness of not having your mind and energy. When you return, your words will carry 10 times the weight because they are a luxury they had to wait for. Chapter 3. Calculated Indifference. The steel armor against manipulation. Manipulators are professional fishermen, and your emotions are the bait. They say a sarcastic word to see if you blush. They betray you to see if you cry. They ignore you to see if you scramble to reconnect. If you react, they hold the reins of your soul. You become a machine where they just press the anger button and you get angry. Press the hurt button and you are hurt. The ultimate weapon, calculated indifference. This isn't the soullessness of a corpse, but the stillness of a mountain. When an insult is thrown at you, let it fall to the ground like a pebble dropped into a void. Don't blink. Don't change your breathing. Indifference is the ultimate insult. It declares, your existence and your efforts aren't even worthy of making my heart rate change. When the attacker realizes they cannot touch your emotions, they panic. They've lost their only weapon. Now you are no longer the victim. You are the observer watching a small creature struggle in vain. Chapter 4. Protecting Attention. Don't be a charity of energy. Your attention is the most valuable asset you own. This world is a pack of vultures scavenging for that attention. Cheap drama, baseless rumors, the noise of failures. They all want to steal your focus. Why do you waste time hating someone unworthy? When you hate someone, you are still giving them power. You are still feeding them with your energy. The Machiavellian rule, total ignore. There are those who aren't even worth confronting. Confronting an inferior person only lowers your status to their level. Ignore them as if they don't exist in your dimension. Don't talk about them. Don't think about them. True power is being able to walk past an enemy without even a glance. Not because you're afraid, but because they aren't important enough for you to move your eyeballs. Save your attention for great goals and worthy allies. Chapter 5. The Stillness of the Leopard. Silent action. Many people mistake silence for doing nothing. Wrong. Silence is the preparation phase for a fatal strike. While the crowd out there is busy bragging about plans on social media, screaming about what they're about to achieve, the Machiavellian warrior is sharpening their sword in the shadows. Don't talk, act. Words create defense from the opponent. Action creates a fait accompli, a thing already done. When you declare, I'm going to surpass you, the enemy starts setting traps. When you silently surpass them and only let them see the result, they are defeated before they even realize the battle has begun. Act silently like a bolt of lightning. No sound when accumulating charge, but explosive and destructive upon impact. Your long silence makes the final blow much more terrifying because it was completely outside everyone's calculations. Chapter 6. Selective Presence. High-level scarcity tactics. Have you noticed that kings of old rarely appeared before the public? And every time they did, it was a major event. That is selective presence. In work, if you're the person who always raises their hand to speak first, your opinion is seen as a given. If you are the last person to speak after observing the whole situation in silence, your words carry the weight of a judge, become expensive. Don't let just anyone easily meet you, easily invite you for coffee, or easily get your help. Establish a filtering system. Only those who pass the test of respect and value get your presence. Selective presence isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. When you value yourself, the world is forced to value you. The one who is always present is a servant. The one who appears at the right time is the leader. Chapter 7. Emotional non-reaction, mastering the frame. In every interaction there is a frame. Whoever controls the frame controls the outcome. Manipulators try to pull you into their frame by triggering emotions. You're so selfish, you're ungrateful, you let me down. If you start explaining, you've entered their frame. You've accepted their rules. How to break the frame. Don't react. When the opponent throws out a provocation, maintain absolute calm. Look at them with the curiosity of a scientist observing a strange creature. Oh, you think so? Or even simpler, a slight nod and silence. By not reacting emotionally, you keep your frame. You force the opponent to enter your world, a world where logic and composure rule. Whoever stays sober the longest wins the final victory. Your personal power will skyrocket when others realize they cannot use emotions to sway your decisions. Chapter 8. The Courage to Stand Alone. The Peak of Autonomy. Finally, all these rules are meaningless if you are still afraid of being alone. Society uses the fear of isolation to force you to follow their rules. If you don't do this, people will hate you. If you stay silent, you'll lose friends. The Machiavellian warrior says, "Let them go. True power begins when you no longer need anyone to feel complete. When you dare to stand alone, you can no longer be controlled." Silence at this point is no longer a tactic. It is your nature. You don't need the noise of the crowd to fill the emptiness inside. When you are strong enough to withdraw into your own kingdom, you become the apex predator. People will seek you out because they need your stability, not because you seek them out because you fear loneliness. Conclusion. The journey of awakening warriors. The world out there is a silent battlefield. The obedient rules you were taught are just chains to keep you in the position of a pawn. It's time to shed the old armor of the good guy and put on the cloak of the powerful. Use silence to build authority. Use indifference to protect your soul. Use selective presence to assert value. Don't be afraid of being judged as cold. In a world full of fake noise, your quiet coldness is the most authentic light. Remember this: power is not granted. It is taken through the discipline of the mind and the iron of the heart. Now, perform the final act to seal this lesson. Stand up straight, take a deep breath, and write this affirmation in the comments. Not for me, but for your own future. I am the silent mountain. I am the master of the game. Your journey begins now. Say nothing more. Be silent and start acting. The world will soon realize the new king has returned. The black hole strategy, where manipulators go to die. Hey warriors, it's time to go deeper. If the previous lesson was your blueprint, this is the surgical blade. We are going to dissect the mechanical gears of strategic silence and calculated indifference. Don't just read this to satisfy your curiosity. Read this to restructure the very DNA of your confidence. Imagine your mind as a cosmic black hole. In physics, a black hole does not emit light, it doesn't explain its existence, and it doesn't argue with the stars. It simply exists as a point of infinite gravity, absorbing everything that enters its event horizon. When you face someone trying to manipulate you with words, they are throwing matter at you: insults, baiting questions, gaslighting, and guilt trips. The common crowd chooses to throw it back, arguing. That is exactly when they lose. Why is reaction a failure? Because when you react, you provide them with energy. A manipulator feeds on seeing the impact they have on you. If they throw an insult and you flush with red, they know they've won. If they throw a criticism and you start stuttering an explanation, they know they hold the reins of your heart rate. The black hole mechanism. When they hurl anything at you, let it fall into absolute silence. No reaction, no explanation, not even anger. Look at them the way you would look at a crack in a wall, with cold, clinical observation. This silence creates a null response. The manipulator will begin to panic because they aren't receiving the data they need to make their next move. They will start talking more to fill the void, contradicting themselves, and eventually they will expose their own hand before you've even moved a muscle. You haven't just defended yourself, you've made them commit psychological suicide. The power of disregard beyond hatred. Machiavelli once emphasized, "The most brutal punishment is not death, but to be forgotten." In modern relationships, we often confuse hatred with power. When you hate someone, you are still granting them a prestigious seat in your brain. You track them, you get angry when they succeed, and you feel gleeful when they fail. The strong choose indifference. Indifference means erasing their presence from your reality. If someone betrays you, do not waste a single second planning revenge. Revenge is a bad investment of time. Instead, treat them like a stranger you've never met. This calculated coldness makes the other person feel they aren't even important enough to receive your hatred. That is the peak of contempt. When you can walk past someone who tried to destroy you without your heart rate increasing by a single beat, without even a side eye, you have officially won the psychological game. You are no longer a victim of the past. You are the master of the present. Frame control, the art of psychological dominance. Every interaction is a battle of frames. Who sets the rules for the conversation? Who is the judge and who is the defendant? For example, a boss or a colleague says to you, "Why didn't you do it my way? You're wasting everyone's time." Their frame, you are wrong, and you owe them an explanation. If you explain, you step into their frame and accept the status of the guilty party. The Machiavellian tactic, stay silent for 3 seconds, look them dead in the eye. Then ask a short question that flips the frame. Does the final result meet the objective? Or simply stay silent and wait for them to continue. By staying silent and emotionally non-reactive, you refuse to enter their frame. You maintain your sovereignty. When you don't accept the label others try to pin on you, that label falls off and sticks back onto them. Power isn't about winning an argument. Power is about not allowing the argument to happen on the opponent's terms. Strategic withdrawal. When absence is the message. Many fear absence. They fear being forgotten, losing opportunities, or being labeled not a team player. But look at the most powerful entities in the world. Can you easily meet the CEO of a top corporation? Can you easily call a head of state? Inaccessibility is the ultimate symbol of high value. Why are you always available? If you are always there whenever someone is sad, always answering texts within a minute, you are lowering your price to free. And in human psychology, anything that is free is eventually disrespected. The action. Practice the sudden withdrawal. When a relationship starts showing signs of disrespect, don't argue. Just go silent and disappear. Don't explain why you're leaving. Silence without explanation creates a massive psychological haunting for the other person. They will obsess over what they did wrong. They will begin to value your presence only after they've tasted its absence. Strategic withdrawal is how you teach others the cost of having you in their life. If they don't appreciate your presence, give them the gift of your absence. Non-reaction to praise and criticism. This is the highest level of calculated indifference. Most people are slaves to external validation. They soar when praised and crumble when criticized. Manipulators know this. They use praise to groom you into working for them and criticism to keep you small and insecure. The warrior mindset. Maintain a state of stillness before both. When someone praises you, accept it with a slight nod and silence. Don't let your ego inflate. When someone criticizes you, receive it with an emotionless face. By not reacting to either, you send a powerful message. My value does not depend on your tongue. I am the only one who defines who I am. When you cannot be bought with praise and cannot be threatened with criticism, you become untouchable. Silence as the weapon of the wise. Machiavelli observed that those who talk the most usually know the least. They use words to mask their insecurity. They fear that if they stay silent, people will see their emptiness. Conversely, the truly powerful understand the value of every single word. They speak little, but every word uttered is like a decree. Silence gives you time to observe. In any room, the person who stays silent and observes is the one who understands the layout of the game best. You see who is lying, who is afraid, and who is trying too hard to flatter. The tactic. In any meeting or gathering, be the last one to speak. Listen to all the cards being laid out on the table. Then, with a few short, calm sentences, close the matter. The contrast between long silence and a sharp conclusion creates an aura of absolute authority. The sovereign kingdom within personal power is not something you fight others for. It is something you establish within yourself. Strategic silence, calculated indifference, and selective presence are not about being a villain. They are about being a sovereign. The world will always try to drag you into unnecessary wars. It wants you exhausted by drama, explanations, and toxic entanglements. Don't let them win. Become the mountain. The mountain does not argue with the clouds passing by. It does not explain why it is massive. It simply stands there, silent and magnificent. Write this in the comments one last time to confirm your transformation. I do not need to be understood. I choose power. Your journey has turned a new page. Don't look back at the ones screaming behind you. Stay silent and keep climbing toward your own peak. The action of a king warrior. Today's journey does not end with these words or these sounds. What you have just received is not mere entertainment. It is the code of power. The world outside will remain loud, manipulators will continue to lurk, and emotional traps will still be set. But from this moment on, you are no longer the prey. You now possess the armor of silence and the blade of calculated indifference. Step out there, keep your lips sealed, and let your success create seismic shifts. Do not make promises. Do not make proclamations. Let the world adjust itself to fit your commanding presence. Remember, your silence is your kingdom. Do you want to master the psychological game? If you are ready to abandon weakness and become an unshakable force, follow the channel right now so you don't miss the next codes of power and dark strategies. Join our community of warriors, where we learn to dominate life through intellect and iron discipline. Don't let yourself be left behind in the shadows of frailty. Hit follow to stay updated with more useful content every day, sharpening your mindset and taking the reins of your destiny. See you at the peak of power. Peace.